G'day guys, welcome back to another video with Enno here from Fantasy Take TV, and today we'll be just going through some mid-prices. It's a bit of mid-price madness season. It's a bit easier when it's this early and still in January when none of them have really written themselves off yet, so it's exciting to put them in your team. I know I had a team with about 4 or 5 the other day. I know George or JD even got like more than that, but it's a bit crazy at this time of year, but I will speak about 10 of them today, sort of give my opinion. And as you can see, we did release a website, as you can see on the screen, this week, which is exciting. And all our rankings for these mid-prices, actually, and other premiums and lines and whatnot, is available as one of the things we're offering on the website as part of the preseason package, along with a number of other things. If you just click on that members tab up the top, you'll see what's on offer, and then a little video as well of myself explaining what you'll get. But we've already had a bit of support over the first couple of days, which is nice to see, and yeah, we're really grateful for that, and hopefully we can get a few more as the preseason rolls on. We're going to be putting quite a bit of time into it's more interactive content, with the members, what they want, Q&A videos, rate your team, sort of centered around, more individual access. That's sort of what we're hoping for, because, with the Discord, there's a lot of people in it now. It's sort of hard to answer to everyone, so we're sort of offering that as well as some articles. George has done a mountain of work on the write-ups, but that's enough for now. If you want to check it out, go have a look, and it will be explained over there. But the first one we'll speak about, as you can see, I was looking at one in defense. It's not really too crazy. Everyone sort of knows about him by now, and that's Elliott, who's in 36% of teams, so quite popular. In his heyday was a really good player for West Coast, but he's been dealing with a lot of injuries in the last couple of years. I think he had OP, some groin issues, done a few calves, but has had a pretty bruise-free preseason so far. I believe there was a little calf niggle sort of pre-Christmas, and I think it was even quite before Christmas. But since then, he's been flying. Sort of in the 3 games he played last year, he's sort of been playing halfback and midfield across his career. Has had some good stints in both areas, but he has performed quite well at halfback before, which is where he's touted to sort of be playing, which makes sense at his age. We've seen Hearn and his own team be able to keep up some good form as a halfback for many years. He's still going, and if you sort of look at the defenders, he's, I think, the 6th price defender this year, which is absurd. But for Yo, I think that'll lengthen his career. Obviously, hopefully keep some injuries away, but at 337. He doesn't have to do a hell of a lot. I mean, you sort of just want a 90 plus from him. He's done 100 plus before in defense. So I think it's entirely possible if he stays injury free, which pretty much is the big caveat for him. I think 3 games he played last year, he took kickouts in all of them. Hearn was still the main guy, but he was the second. So I believe, even in some training and match sim, it's been reported he's been taking them. So nothing too crazy here. I think most people are looking at him, but really, it's just the injury with him. So next one is Jack Bose, and the only other defender one I'm sort of looking at this current point in time. Obviously, part of the deal across from Gold Coast to help Geelong get that picked 6 they used on Jai Clark, but hasn't been a hell of a lot of word yet about Bose, which is, I guess, kind of concerning, because it's pre-season. This is when everyone's getting pumped up. They're flying. They're the next best thing, blah, blah, blah. And you haven't really heard a peep. But he has been supposedly training in the midfield group. So really just got some work to do, I guess, for him to sort of cement down a spot. And it's sort of makes you nervous that he may be sort of a sub-risk sort of player. He's quite versatile, can play defence as he has for Gold Coast in the past. Was originally drafted as a midfielder, but it just hasn't really found his way. But yeah, it does really scream like he could be a sub-type player for them, someone they can plug in where needed, sort of late in games. So need to see a lot more from Bose, or hear a lot more, put it that way. Next, not a hell of a lot. Again, sort of like Yo, probably more locked in than Yo, as you can see in 47% of teams, is Jacob Hopper coming across from the Giants, and that really isn't one that needs much talking on. The only concern with him, for me anyway, even as a Richmond fan, is just his injury history. Hasn't had a great run at it, especially recently with his knees. So, but he's going well at the moment, tearing up match sim. So, look, for now, he's got to be in your team. I don't see how he can't be. unless we sort of get word that he's still managing, some injuries or something. But I don't think that's the case. I think he'll be fine, heading into the season. Next one is old Elliott teammate, and that's Dom Sheed, pretty much at the same price. And he just really comes down. He's had a troublesome couple of years too, but comes down to how he fits in that West Coast midfield. Obviously, terrible year they had last year. Shuey can't get any continuity anymore. He's getting on, and they got some younger kids that they may want to blood. Jai Cully. I think there's Elijah Hewitt, some other kids. So got to see where he falls in the pecking order, and if it's anywhere within the top 4 guys, even if he's number 4, I think it's a pretty good option at this price to sort of get, at least 100k plus out of him, and obviously looking for that, 150. But really wanting to push towards 500. Like Hopper, they're the exact same price. You want them to push towards 500, and then have to spend, maybe 100k, on a fallen premium to sort of get a top mid in. So. I think he's a good option as we speak, but obviously need to see more. Throughout pre-season. The next one is a guy right here in James Warple, and a little bit more needs to come from him than say a Sheed or a Hopper. Had a pretty average season last year. Played the 10, 11 games, average 50 odd. Just didn't look himself. I mean, he won the best and fairest not too long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and just hasn't looked the same since. So we need to see where he fits as well, because there's a lot of young kids buying for that mid time at the Hawks. Titch gone, Amira gone. Who fits in there? They've got Cooper Stevens across from Geelong. They've got Connor McDonald coming through. Newcomb's going to be the mainstay in there, of course, but there's a number of other guys that want some time in there. Dylan Moore's sort of a forward mid that will pinch hit, but Warple, if he's really going to accelerate and get back in his career onto track, it has to be this season in the midfield. So did play half forward supposedly in the recent match sim, or sometime there at least anyway. In the rucks, I don't really have any. I guess it would be Sam Draper. I've sort of filtered SuperCoach here, as you can see, sort of between the 200, 400k mark. I just don't see him breaking out to be a really valid pick. He's 400k even still. He'd have to be a lot cheaper for me. Lloyd Meeks, the other one. Nothing really on the ruck line interests me. So I move to the forward line. And look, Nat Fyfe, I'm going to put there. He's not really my cup of tea. Super player, has been for years. He's in 39% of teams as well, mind you. So a lot of people are all over him. He's going to play mostly forward, pretty much predominantly, in my opinion. I don't see him really getting a run at all through the midfield. They, when he came back last year from injury, sort of mid-season, they really just didn't want to put him in there, or found, they were trying to find ways to get him in there, but Brodie, Brayshaw, Sarong, they were all rolling in there, and they didn't really need him. And I think that's the case moving forward. So he's sort of already come out and said he's going to be playing predominantly forward. They've said that. He may get a little pinch hit here and there, but I don't expect it to be much at all. And to be quite honest, he's not the best forward as it is anyway. Can take overhead marks, good at that, but he just really has struggled kicking for goal and has his whole career. I mean, it's no secret. Not a massive fan of the 5 pick, but a lot of people are over him, so he needs talking about. And someone I think just needs talking about because, resident Crows fan, old George over there always brings him up, but he's brought him up for negative reasons in the past, but sort of now he's not on board, but can see it working if everything goes right. He gets the halfback role where he wants to play. Hated getting shoved forward. So if given the role, he's still too much for me personally. I would like him a bit cheaper to sort of give him more chance of making that cash, because there is a lot of risk with not only injury with him, but just form. And, is he really going to take the next step? George says he's going to be happy playing halfback, and maybe that helps him, play some good footy. But look, for me, not really going to go there, but, George can see it working. Another one sort of to me fits in the same bracket that I'm not going to go there is Taron Thomas, who has also been playing halfback, supposedly taking some kickouts on one of the teams anyway in the match sim. So, this is probably the price I'd like to see Malaya at, and then I maybe think about it more. But $2.95, look, there is some upside there playing that halfback role, but I just really don't see how Taron Thomas, just with all that's gone on with him, working really, and it's still too risky for me as well to pick someone that Just don't quite know if his head's fully in the game at AFL level, and if he can take that next step. So look, not for me either. There's a few that really aren't for me, I'll be honest. Like, it is nice thinking about all of them in pre-season, but Connor McDonald's the other one I was speaking about with Warple. Really just need to see who's going to get those midfield minutes, and he's at a good price, $2.79 as well. I mean, someone I probably should have mentioned as well in the midfield, but I didn't really have in my group that I was going to talk about is Cooper Stevens. They're all similar price, you know. Obviously Warple 300, but Stevens 265, Connor McDonald 279. Who's going to get those midfield minutes? Really got to see what's going on. And yeah, not much more could be said at this early stage. But the last one we will mention today is Sam Flanders, who had a really good back end of last year in the twos, really killed it in the VFL, put up some big numbers. Matter of, again, can he get the midfield minutes in that Gold Coast team? It already has, some quite elite mids in there. So he'd sort of be pushing for that 4th, 5th mid spot, and hopefully he can get it. But there's been a lot of big talk about in this preseason, absolutely flying. Seems that Stewie Jew loves him. But again, like I was saying, with all the other picks, and especially the Hawthorn guys, but even Dom Sheed as well, they've got to get that midfield time. They've got to be seen to be in and around the sort of top 4 or 5 guys getting in the guts. So, bit of mid-price madness. There's others I haven't even spoken about. Plenty. Like, look here, Jason Horne-Francis is in 12% of teams. Ben Cunnington's a no for me. As I was saying in the rucks before, there's not much of my interest there. Marcus Windhager is 266, could get some midfield time with the Saints. Was used in sort of a tagging role last year. And then in defence, I just didn't really fancy any of these guys. I know there's been some love for Nick Caulfield, Hunter Clark, Will Day. None of those guys took my fancy. These guys on my field are the main people I'm looking at for this year. So, bit of mid-price madness. Tell me who you like in the comments down below. But until then, we'll see you on the next video, guys. Cheers.
Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like the 80s. Pulling out the coupe at the lot.